Shalom, 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 shalom. As always, first I want to give all the praises and the glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, our teachers of Great Millstone. Shalom, shalom, shalom. To the hopeful elect, brothers and sisters of the house of Israel. And to my fellow brothers out there that are plowing the fields in the name of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Shalom, shalom, shalom. So, I just want to do a quick response to Deacon's destruction mode he did the other day, last week. He's a Hebrew Israelites explain the Star of David. So I just want to do a quick response on this. Now, before I start, I still like to say that I'm doing this for edification's sake. We have nothing against the Sicarii camp. You know, they're great teachers over there in Sicarii, teaching the word and that. They're out there plowing the fields and the highways and hedges. But when they speak about certain things, we have to put the correction in to let the Israelites know what certain truths are when it comes to certain symbols that we may use or that we may have, you know, where the truth really lies behind them. Now, I'm going to first of all start off and tell you that the Star of David, the so-called Star of David, should I say, is not scriptural. Okay, it's referred to as the Star of David because the so-called Jews use it as a symbol in their Israeli flag, and they call it the Star of David, right? So it's referred to in modern terms as the Star of David. But the so-called Star of David is not scriptural. It's not biblical. There's nothing about it that's biblical. And what I wanted to speak on today is that Deacon Destruction, Brother Deacon, was trying to associate the star that the Sicarii have on their garments with the pomegranate in the Bible. Yes, would you believe it? With the pomegranate. So his argument why the Sicarii, that group that's out there preaching the word, doing the word, they're doing the work. Like I said to you, it's nothing personal. But his argument is that the Star of David, the reason why they wear the so-called Star of David, because they don't call it the Star of David, this is what he says, they call it, they say the reason why they wear it because it represents the pomegranate on the high priest's garments, right? The Levite priest's garments. That's why they wear the star, which we refer to in the modern terms as the Star of David, right? They say it represents the pomegranate on the Levite priest's garments. Well, I'm going to say it doesn't, because a pomegranate is a pomegranate and a so-called star is a star, or what we know to be a star. We call it a star. Stars are planets, obviously, right? But there's a difference between something that we wore that represents the pomegranate on the priestly garments and something that's actually a shape of a star. Completely two different things. But this is his argument. This is what he's saying. This is why Sicarii wear it. And I say again, it's not biblical. The pomegranate is biblical to have on the end of the priestly garments, but having that star shaped on your garments is not biblical. All right? So that's all I'm saying. It's not biblical. There's nothing in the Bible that we did where we wore a star on our garments in that shape that they have on their garments. Nothing in the Bible that talks about the Star of David or the Star of Solomon or any type of what we would call today as a star. Nothing in the Bible represents that. Just so you understand. So I wanted to hear from his own mouth what he says, his argument, and then we're going to bring out some information and then we're going to go into some scriptures, right? So listen up.
I don't know who F-bomb was. It looked like some white freak. But let's continue here. So we were proving here that these aren't actual fruits hanging from our garments, but rather pomegranates sewed in, stitched in, embroidered into our garments of blue, purple, or scarlet. But the pomegranates are budding when we place them. It's a depiction of budding pomegranate. Somebody said wearing a star is not going to get you into the kingdom. Wearing it ain't going to get you into the kingdom, and not wearing it ain't going to get you into the kingdom. But this is a symbol that we dealt with, but it's not a star. You're calling it a star, it's not a star. Anyway, but if you were a high priest, I believe this is for the high priest. If the high priest didn't wear this symbol, they would be in violation. They would be in violation. That would be a sin for them not to wear this symbol. So you gotta deal with that. So we talked about a budding pomegranate. Now watch this, everybody.
So before we go on, let me just quickly show you what the high priest wore, right? So the high priest would have the mitre, gold crown, onyx shoulder pieces, the ephod and its girdle, the breastplates with the 12 stones, which represent the 12 tribes of Israel, 4 rows, the blue robe underneath, the white robe, the bells and pomegranate at the end of the blue robe. You see those? Pomegranate and bells. So the pomegranates were the shape of an actual pomegranate, right? Not part of the pomegranate, but the whole pomegranate once it's reached its full bloom stage. That's what they wore at the bottom of their priestly garments, right? But the fringes, right? As you can see, right? The bell in the gold next to it. We'll make this a bit bigger. As you can see, the pomegranate in the purple and the bell. That's what they wore in their garments. At the bottom of their garments. That's what the high priests were. They didn't wear anything that was an actual shape of a star, what we would know today as a star, hanging off the bottom of their garments. This is what I want to clarify up with you. What they wore was an actual shape of the whole pomegranate, right, in its full bloom, which we're going to show you in a minute, right? So, and it's all in Exodus 28, verse 4 to 43, all right? That's what they wore, pomegranates, bells and pomegranates. So let's quickly go back. Let's listen on.
Bow! This is what a pomegranate looks like when it's budding, when it's fully budded, when it's ripe.
You see, that's disingenuous, right? Because he's only showing you a part, the bottom of the pomegranate, right? So he's saying this is what a pomegranate looks like when it's at full bloom and budded, all right? That's what he just said, right? Listen to what he says.
It's budding, when it's fully budded, when it's ripe. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like.
So that's his argument for wearing the star on their garments. Because of the bottom of the pomegranate, all right, or the top of the pomegranate looks like this. That's his whole argument why they wear the star on their garments. Because of the pomegranates, which the high priest was told to wear at the bottom of their garments, which is the full pomegranate, not just the head part of the pomegranate, just what the head part may look like, the shape of the style of the head part of the pomegranate. So that's what he's trying to say, right? When he shows you this here, he says, bow, right? So this is very disingenuous because the scripture talks about the pomegranates to be worn, right? So if we go to Ecclesiasticus, we'll just quickly bring it out here. It says here, and he compassed him with pomegranates and with many golden bells round about, right? That as if he went there, he might be a sound and a noise made that night to be heard in the temple for memorial to the children of the people. So this is what it says there. We just start here. It says here, he exalted Aaron, an holy man, like unto him, even his brother of the tribe of Levi, all right? An everlasting covenant he made with him and gave him the priesthood, and among the people he beautified him with comely ornaments and clothed him with a robe of glory. He put upon him the perfect glory and strengthened him with rich garments and breeches, with a long robe and an ephod. And he compassed him with pomegranates and with many golden bells round about, that as he went there, he might be a sound and a noise that might be heard in the temple for memorial to the children of these people. So when Aaron put on these garments, they would know, right, that he was coming into the temple to either do a sacrifice or they're celebrating a high holy day, right? So the children of Israel would come out. They would hear the bells ringing of the high priest, of the priest, because the Levite priest would wear this garment here. And those are the bells that would be dingling and the pomegranates at the bottom of their garments. So for him to say that this is what they were wearing in that shape is disingenuous, because they were not wearing just that part of the pomegranate on their garments. They embroidered the whole pomegranate on their garments. So he said, oh, the pomegranate when it's budding. Let's just have a quick look here. So this is a pomegranate here, full blood, and it's full bloom. It doesn't always have 6 leaves at the end. Sometimes it has 7, sometimes it has 8. As you can see on this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll say again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not 6 pointed. It doesn't always have 6. It can have 7, sometimes it can have 8, sometimes it can have 6. All right, I think this has, has this got 6 or 7? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this one. Sometimes it can have 6. This one has 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But my point is, it doesn't always have 6. Sometimes it can have 7, sometimes it can have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one has 8. So it's very disingenuous for him to say that. All right. That's why they wear the star on their garments. Very disingenuous. Now, if we go to, this is a pomegranate, right? During its budding process, the bud is swelling. Then you get the red tip. Then it sprouts at first. Then the leaf separation happens. Then the leaf growth. Then the lengthening of the internodes. Then the appearance of the flower buds. Then the swollen calyx, the opening of the calyx, the opening of the flower, the petal falls, the fruit is setting, budding now is setting, the young fruit, right? The fruit growth and the ripening of the fruit. So this is what they were told to wear at the bottom of their garments, the whole pomegranate. The whole pomegranate. That's what's at the bottom of their garments here, is the whole pomegranate. Not just this star shape, the bottom of the pomegranate or the top of the pomegranate, the whole pomegranate. So it's just very disingenuous for him to say that the reason why we wear the star, it represents the pomegranate, because the star can't represent the Listen, if he wants to put pomegranates on his garments, all means. But let's not try to convolute one with the other. You either wear the pomegranate that represents the pomegranate, because a star, having a star, 6-sided star on your garment does not represent the pomegranate of the priestly garments. But listen on.
So my question to you guys is, I'm gonna tell you how semantical and evil certain of our brothers are. Because if I was to wear this, if I was to wear a budding pomegranate, right? They're gonna say, "Oh, that pomegranate has Satan, the star of Renfram on it."
But we wouldn't say that, because we know the pomegranate is part of the priestly garments. Exodus 28. We know that. We wouldn't say that. Some brothers may ask and would ask you why you're wearing the pomegranates, but that's what it's part. It's part of the priestly garments. It tells us here. 28, what was it? Change that. Here we go, verse 34. It says there, and beneath upon the hem of it thou shalt make pomegranates of blue, right, the hem of the garment, and of purple, and of scarlet, round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold between them round about, a golden bell and a pomegranate, not just the head part of the pomegranate, this what shape looks like a star shape, the whole pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate upon the hem of the robe round about. So one golden bell, one pomegranate, all right? One golden bell, one pomegranate, one golden bell. So that's what they got on the hem of the garment. That's what you're meant to wear if you want to wear the pomegranate. We can't say having the Star of David on your outfit represents the pomegranate. It doesn't. It's you justifying this by trying to say it symbolizes the pomegranate. It doesn't, because like I said, a pomegranate doesn't always have six leaves on it. Sometimes it can have 8, as we showed you. Sometimes it can have 7. Where is it going? Sometimes it can have 7. There you go, pomegranate. Sometimes it can have 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't necessarily have 6, which we symbolize to be a star. So I just think it's a bit disingenuous for him to be saying that. That's all. He just needs to sometimes be truthful about certain things, right? You can't try to start looking for any little thing to try to justify things that we are doing, you know? And like I said, it doesn't mean either way he's going to receive salvation or not, having the star on his garment or not. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to point out here is that you can't justify the pomegranates that the high priests were told to wear on their garments to represent the star, what they consider the Star of David, what's referred to as Star of David, that they wear on their garments. What Sicarii has, what you see here in the top screen here, which they symbol. All right. So let's listen on.
Oh, that means you would have to tell that to the high priest who walked in the holies of holies.
But we just said that the high priest didn't wear stars that looked like stars hanging off their garments. They wore the pomegranates. So we wouldn't have to tell that to the high priest. And that's why I say it's very disingenuous of him to be saying that. We would have to say to the high priest, why are you wearing that? No, the high priest ain't wearing what we would consider stars hanging off their garments. They wore pomegranates.
So that means you would have to tell that to the high priest who walked in the holies of holies. That, oh, you guys can't do what the Most High commanded you to do because that has the Star of Remphan on it. No. You can't do that.
And we're not saying it's the Star of Remphan or the Star of Molech, but the Bible refers to the Star of Remphan or Star of Molech as something that the Israelites were worshipping, which is idolatry. So we symbolize a star as something that's got 6 sides today. That's what we know. We know stars are actually planets. Planets ain't got 6 pointing edges coming out, but we symbolize a star today as something that's got a triangle upside down, overlaid on another triangle, basically, right? Which gives it 6 sides, 6 pointed stars. That's what we would consider a star today, kind of thing. So, you know, a pomegranate is a pomegranate. Look, just for another example here, right? I'm going to show you. Where is it? Okay, so Solomon's temple, the Lord's temple, right? That Solomon built. It's referred to as Solomon's temple, right? The Lord told Solomon to do what? 1 Kings 7, to put pomegranates at the top of the beams, all right? You see here, 1 Kings, Hiram's work in the temple. Let's just go down to it. On the pillars, all right? So Hiram was a master builder, a master Israelite builder that played a major part in building Solomon's temple, the Lord's temple for Solomon, all right? And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning the works of all the brass. And he came to King Solomon and wrought all his work. Part of that was putting the pillars. So it says here, and he made the pillars and 2 rows round about upon them, and 2 rows round about upon the one network to cover the chapatiers that are upon the top, with what? With pomegranates. So did he for the other chapatiers. And the chapatiers that were upon the top of the pillars were of the lily work in the porch 4 cubits. And the chapatiers upon the 2 pillars had pomegranates also above, over against the belly, which was by the network. And the pomegranates were 200 in rows round about upon the other chapatiers. So these are the pillars. These are depictions of the pillars. And these, look, see, the pomegranates. The pomegranates. Bronze work. This is the pomegranate here. The wreath of chain work, the nets of checker work, the lily work. Pomegranates. The big pomegranate, and then the 200 going around the chapatiers. Just so you understand, there's no star shape here to symbolize a pomegranate. It's the actual shape of the pomegranate that's on the top of the pillars. So if we look at the shape of a pomegranate, once again, can you see the shape of the pomegranate? This is the shape of a pomegranate. That's what's on top of the pillars. And then those are lilies on top of the pomegranates. The pomegranates. See, the same shape. It's not a star that they put on top of the pillars to represent the pomegranate. It's the actual pomegranates. The same shape of pomegranates that are on the priestly garments, with the little leaf part at the top of it, but it's the whole pomegranate. So it's just disingenuous for him to keep trying to represent the pomegranate as a star, or what we would consider a star.
First of all, we already debunked that the star rim frame is not a 6-point symbol. It's a statue and pillar of a person, per so many sources and scholarship in ancient manuscripts. But you guys see the semantical games? This is why we say this symbol, this symbol is a symbol we would put, this 6-point symbol is a symbol we used, the pomegranate. And it looks exactly like the 6-point symbol we use.
You see? Said it out of his own mouth. He's using the symbol, the pomegranate, to represent the 6-star symbol that they use on their garments, which it can't be. Because like I said, the pomegranate doesn't necessarily even have 6 leaves at the top of it when it buds. It doesn't always have. Sometimes it has 7, like you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sometimes it has 8. But the pomegranates that the priests wore were not stars, shapes of stars hanging off of their garments. The pomegranates that Solomon had Hiram build on the temples was not a star. It was pomegranates, the actual shape of a pomegranate, as you can see. That's what that is. And then it had lilies at the top. So it's very disingenuous for him to be trying to represent the star that they were wearing, to justify the star that they're wearing with the pomegranate that was for the priestly garments. This is all I'm saying, but it's very disingenuous.
It was on the temple. It was on our garments. It's on ancient artifacts and archaeology.
So for instance, the star was found on ancient archaeology on certain sites. So let's give you an example here. This was a synagogue in the 3rd and 4th century AD that had this star, 2-sided star on it, right? But it still doesn't mean that it's something that we should be wearing on our garments, because we don't know why this was on the synagogue. We have no idea why they had this 2 triangles overlapping each other, literally, on this synagogue in the 3rd and 4th century. This is a synagogue in Extra Israel Synagogue website, but in Shura, that's it, it's Shura, late Roman or Byzantine, all right, archaeological. But we don't know. So we can't take this and all of a sudden try to justify wearing these on your garments because we don't know. That's what we must understand. The star, they refer to it as the Star of David, but there is nothing in the Bible that refers to David ever having anything that symbolizes wearing a star shape, what we would call a star shape or a six symbol star shape. Nothing. There's nothing in the Bible that can justify that. Nothing. So the pomegranates cannot justify Sicarii wearing the star of the so-called Star of David. They don't call it the Star of David, just so you understand. To say that justifies them wearing it by trying to say it's symbolizing a symbol of the pomegranate. They can't do that. All right. There are certain things that we know of, like the menorah, right? The candle, the Lion of Judah, right? Solomon's temple had those. The shofar, the ram's horn, So these things we can justify. The lulav. But like it says here, the hexagram, which is a six symbol star, two-sided triangles, which what say we're six symbol star, was not originally or uniquely in a Jewish symbol. The hexagram, being an inherently simple geometric construction, has been used in various motifs throughout human history, and it has, which were not exclusively religious. Absolutely. It appeared as a decorative motif in both 4th century synagogues and Christian churches in Galilee region. So it could have just been some decorative thing that they put on the synagogue, but it's got nothing to do with the priests having it as a commandment for the priests to wear in their garments, or the Israelites having their clothes. Like we have a commandment that says that we must wear the fringes at the end of our clothes. So we do that while we are preaching. We don't do it with everyday clothes because we're still in captivity. But when we're preaching, we wear our garments with our fringes. So, there's nothing that he can say, but he's going to keep on trying to justify it. Listen on.
So what you guys going to say? What you guys going to say if we just put a round circle, because that would be the body of the pomegranate, and then we put the 6-point symbol when the pomegranate buds, and I put them all over my sweater, which I was thinking about doing that when I made a clothing line, when I was trying to make a clothing line. Israel has it on their flag because they're still in our culture, our identity and nationality. That's easy. But what you guys gonna say then? Oh, it's a double standard. It's unintelligible.
We would not say anything. If Sicarii and those guys had pictures of printed of pomegranates on their garments, we could not say anything because we know the pomegranates was part of the priestly garments. A star-shaped object is not part of any priestly garment, and it's not scriptural. It's not a stamp, it's not a seal, it's nothing. King David never had a star, Solomon never had a star, or what we consider the star. Nothing in the Bible tells us that. The seal of Solomon has got no history on that at all, nothing. There's nothing to signify David had a seal that represented a star, or Solomon had a seal that represented a star, or any other Israelite king had that. Nothing in the Bible signifies that we wore a star-shaped object on our garments. A pomegranate is not a star. I can't say that enough, but listen up.
It's very rudimentary. You can't have it both ways. Either the pomegranate is wicked. If the 6-point symbol is wicked, then the pomegranate is wicked.
See, that's very disingenuous. He said if the 6-star symbol is wicked, then the pomegranate is wicked. So that's very disingenuous because the 6-star symbol is not a pomegranate, and a pomegranate is not a 6-star symbol. As I showed you already, pomegranates don't always have 6 leaves coming off of it. Sometimes it has 7, sometimes it has 8. So that's very disingenuous. The priests never wore star-shaped objects hanging off of their garments. They wore the pomegranate in its full entirety. When they built the Lord's temple, the Most High's temple, when Solomon had built the temple, they never had a star to replace the pomegranate. It was a pomegranate that was at the top. Simple as that. And it says it right here again, all right? Verse 20. It says, so then the capitals that were on the two pillars were above and close to the bulge that was beside the network, and there were 200 pomegranates in rows around both capitals. Those are the pomegranates going all the way around. Do you understand? And then the bigger one there, same shape. This is what we're talking about. These are not stars that were put on the temple. They were shaped like pomegranates. So let's just go back to
all these priests. The high priests were worshiping Satan. Come on, man. Watch this though, everybody. How many seeds are in a pomegranate? How many seeds are in a pomegranate? How many seeds are in a pomegranate? Somebody said, why do they use it for witchcraft? The same reason why the LGBTQT community uses our rainbow for wickedness, and the world takes our holy symbols in the Bible and use them for wickedness. That's why. 613 seeds in a pomegranate. 613 seeds in a pomegranate. Why is that? Because there's about 613 laws, statutes, and commandments.
See, that's disingenuous. Because there are different numbers amount of seeds in pomegranate. The average amount is around 600, but there are different amounts. I mean, it actually says it on the screen. Pomegranates have anywhere on his actual own screen that he's showing you from 200 to 1,200 seeds. Anywhere from 200 to 1,200 seeds pomegranate has in it. So for him to say, oh, they have 613 seeds, that's so disingenuous. The average pomegranate, they say you have 600 seeds, but it doesn't have, I mean, it is, look, how many seeds a pomegranate contains? The number of seeds in a pomegranate can vary from 200 to about 1,400 botanically. The edible fruit is a berry with seeds and pulp produced from it. So that's very disingenuous for him to say that. You got a man here even counting the friggin' seeds, right? He's counting the seeds in a pomegranate here. I'm going to go right to the end of it. See that? 454 seeds was in that pomegranate that he just counted. So my point is, it's very disingenuous for him to make you believe that, oh, every pomegranate has 613 seeds. The average is 600. The average, depending on what size a pomegranate is. So we can't start to use that and say, oh, because we know there are 613 laws, commandments, and statutes, this is why they wear the Star of David, because not just because a pomegranate has those leaves at the end that sometimes springs 6 leaves, it also has 613 seeds in it, which are the 613 laws and commandments and statutes. That's very disingenuous. Because even on his own screen, it's telling him pomegranates have anywhere between 200 and 1,200 seeds. Depends on what size it is. So I don't know. Sometimes some people grabbing at straws just to prove a point, and I'm like, I don't even know why I even went there, to be quite honest.
Here's another unscholastic lie. Here's another unscholastic lie, right? It does vary. Some people say 613, but generally they're going to say about 600, approximately 600.
So if he knows that, why would he try to make a point of 613? That's why I say it's very disingenuous for him to even say that, because he knows now, he's telling you it's only 600, average 600, and he knows it varies. That's like saying a car that always has 4 tires sometimes has 3 tires. Seriously, man. But listen on.
But some sources say 613 literally. So here's another lie that can be debunked. many years ago, they tried to say that it was the Seal of Solomon. When you look at anybody can research the Seal of Solomon, not Google, see, this is what I see brothers doing. They're going to Google, and then they're going to Google Images. No, go to a source that explains it with primary source to back it. So with the Seal of Solomon, nowhere in the description of the Seal of Solomon, okay, there we go, look at this. It was often depicted in the shape of either a pentagram or a hexagram. Now, there's no source to back that up. Remember how I told you guys how to use Wikipedia? You can't just go on here and read Wikipedia. There's no number by this statement to back it up with source document. Now, let's say it was true. There's no source to say that Solomon had got that image from some wicked entity. No source. But rather the sources say it was a ring. Literally, it says it was a ring with the Most High's name on it. Anybody can look it up. Debunked.
Now, we're not saying either way that that symbol of that star is, someone having a star is wicked or not. What we are saying is that it's not biblical. It's not scriptural. It's got nothing to do with the Israelites, the so-called Star of David. This is what we are saying. Right? We're not saying whether it's wicked, righteous, or unrighteous, or this or that. What we are saying is that the so-called Star of David, that Sicarii wear and other camps like to wear, is not biblical. It's got nothing to do with the Israelites in terms of something that we should be doing or wearing or representing. It does not. That you cannot take a pomegranate and turn it into a star, or take a star and turn it into a pomegranate. That doesn't work. That's what we are saying. Just so you understand.
The Seal of Sidon. The Seal of Sidon, you're going to see us dealing with this image. You're going to see us dealing with this image right here, going all the way back to 600 BC. That's 2,600 years ago. It's called the Seal of Sidon. And it was owned by a Hebrew Israelite, where you see the so-called 6-point symbol partially remaining on the ancient artifact. 6th century Sidon seal. You'll see it right here. It's still partially there. You'll see it in Hebrew. It was owned by a Hebrew Israelite. So if you just came in.
So like I said, that doesn't prove anything. A partially remaining of a seal that may be in a star or not, from what you can see on it. It's got 3 edges on it. Maybe it's got another 4 that we can't see. We don't know, but that doesn't mean anything. When you're bringing up archaeology like that, it doesn't mean anything, because there's nothing in the Bible to substantiate any of this. This is my point. There's nothing in the scriptures to substantiate anything that Deacon, right, destruction is speaking on regarding them wearing the 6-sided star on their garments to say somehow it's a representation of the pomegranate on the priestly garments. That's just total BS. That artifact's what he's showing you there. There's nothing in the Bible that signifies that any king had a seal that had a star on it that they use at any stage. Nothing could substantiate that.
So, Trey Stocks, let me highlight this comment real quick.
So, he's going to have someone come on, all right? So-called Edomite, seems like an Edomite, is going to come on and question him about him. And I want you to watch how quickly on the defense Sicarii here, Deacon goes, how quickly on the defense he goes, because he can't answer a straightforward question that's going to be put to him. A legitimate question. These guys these guys love the idea of challenging people to their knowledge, to their scholarship when it comes to the scripture and they're very well taught, these guys. Remember, these are GMS pupils. These guys come out of Great Millstone School, Sicarii. He was a Great Millstone pupil, Sicarii, before they went to start on their own camp. So they're very well taught. Don't get this twisted. They're very well taught. But this person that's going to come on now is going to tackle him. And you're going to see how quick Sicarii goes on the defensive here, Deacon, and cannot answer the question because his back has been put against the wall by this so-called Edomite now that's going to question him. Watch and see.
I like this comment real quick. Matter of fact, he said the Testament of Solomon. The Testament of Solomon has no ancient manuscripts to back it, nor any validity. That's a fabrication of your imagination. All right, mic check, mic check. What's going on? Hey, you're live. What's going on?
Okay, so can you describe everything that you're using in your logo to your viewers?
That's not the topic of the discussion. The discussion is about the so-called 6-point symbol.
But it's a legitimate question because the symbol that Sicarii has is the 6 star that he's going on about. He's been talking about that supposedly represents the pomegranate. So he's asked him, can he explain to his viewers what the symbol means that you've got on your garments, right? And on your screen. Simple. It's like someone said to me, can I explain the 12 tribes chart that I have on my symbol? I'd have to explain to him. So it's a simple and it's a fair question. But listen to Deacon.
Well, you're discussing the Star of David, aren't you?
Yeah, but it's colloquially and generally called the Star of David due to modernization. But it's a symbol that we just proved has been found in antiquity. David never had a star to himself. So it's not the Star of David, but that's what it's called.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but you're also not really telling people what it means.
I just told you what it means. It's the bud of a pomegranate. I told you that.
Well, do you know why it's a triangle up and a triangle down? I think you do because you have a sword going through.
It's not about a triangle up and a triangle down. I just said the high priest were commanded to wear this on their garment, put it on the temple and on ancient artifacts.
Okay, so you.
Once again, he's so disingenuous because the high priest wasn't wearing a star, what we can call a star today, hanging off of their garments. They was wearing a pomegranate hanging off of their garments. They weren't wearing stars hanging off of their garments. So it's disingenuous how he responds. You know, and so I said, this is the guy's putting a fair question to him, but his back is against the wall now. Listen up.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me what this is. What is it?
That's what I'm saying. But why do you have a sword going through it? Do you know why you have a sword going through it? Do you know why I'm trying to hint at the triangle up and the triangle down?
Why do we have?
Because it represents masculine and feminine energy. That's why you have a sword pinning two lights on the end because.
And he's right. That's what it represents. Listen, it goes back to, because many people use it, right? And this is what he's speaking on, right? He's speaking on this here, on the Shakona, which Hindus use it. In the Hinduist culture, the Shakona is a 6-pointed star that represents the union of a male and a female. The symbol also represents the Ahara heart, Chakara, which stands for wisdom, love, and compassion. So it's used in many cultures, but he's absolutely right. It's the representation of a male and a female. And this is why I say we can't take this star and try to somehow, make it part of this Israelite culture, practicing and preaching and wearing it and representing it, when we truly don't know if it's got anything to do with it. There's nothing in the scripture, should I say, that shows us it's got anything to do with our forefathers in the Bible that was used in any form or shape and way. We can't use a pomegranate and try to make that and say, oh, that represents the star. That's total BS. So he's kind of being put in a corner now. Listen on.
Two lights on the end because you have the center pillar in the center.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Did you make the Sicarii logo?
Look, I've been studying those symbols for a long time, man. I know what those symbols are.
Did you make the Sicarii logo? Yes or no?
Hold on. You're trying to claim that these
white
belong
boy,
to.
white boy. If
You're trying to claim that these are symbols that.
This is how easy. All you gotta do is mute a white boy, and the white boy gonna keep talking.
You see, because he can't answer the question. This guy here loves a challenge, right? Sicarii is all about challenging people, coming on and them showing them how smart and great and clever they are. They are. They're very smart and clever in many fields when it comes to the scripture, right? But what I'm saying is that his back has been put against the wall now. This guy here is trying to explain to him, look, I study symbols, and I'm telling you that symbol's got nothing to do with the Bible, just like I'm telling you here now. It's got nothing to do with the scriptures, all right? Or our ancestors in wearing it in a way that we can consider it to be righteous. We have nowhere in the scriptures that says that. But Sicarii, Deacon, tried to associate this star with a pomegranate. It's a stretch beyond a stretch, as far as I'm concerned. It's what we call in England a long stretch, right? So the guy here is trying to say to him, look, you need to explain this to me, but he's trying to cut him off now and saying, oh, he's an Edomite, he's an Edomite, he's an Edomite. He probably is an Edomite, but deal with him. He's asked a legitimate question, give him a legitimate answer. And the reason why he can't is because his back has been put against the wall. So he comes out in an attack mode, the Deacon, which is, and believe me, for my money, he's been caught out here. He's been caught out here.
This is how easy. All you got to do is mute a white boy, and the white boy gonna keep talking because he's a troglodyte, uncivilized cave beast who has no decorum. He's talking about a sword. First of all, I'll break it down to you easily. The branches represent the olive branches, both kingdoms. The sword represents the sword of the spirit. And the so-called Star of David represents the pomegranate. That's easy with Yahweh's name under it.
And that's where he keeps on going off by trying to tell you that the so-called Star of David represents the pomegranate. That just doesn't fit Deacon Sicarii in any way or shape. But you're trying to put a square into a triangle.
I can't let a white boy get me mad today. Salakia. Anybody else want to come on here that wants to go to the Bible and really talk about the symbol? Let's talk about some ancient artifacts. Let's talk about some ancient manuscripts.
So yeah, I mean, I just really wanted to just speak on that, really, just to tell you that that you're going to get this from time to time. And we will call it out for what it is. Like I said, there's no love lost for these brothers because, like I said, man, he's a righteous brother, Deacon. I do believe he's one of the elect, But I'm just telling you, he's going off when he's telling you that the star, that star that he wears, is maybe in his mind he sees it symbolic to the pomegranate, but the pomegranate's got nothing to do with the star, what the so-called Star of David, what these guys wear in their garments and what they have hanging off on chains. Just so you understand. One scripture here I want to bring out. Luke 16:15, and he says unto them, ye are they which justify yourselves before men. And that's what it seemed like. He was trying to justify himself before men, Deacon Sicarii. But the Most High knows your hearts. He knows what you're really thinking. For that which is highly esteemed amongst men, because that symbol seems to be highly esteemed amongst Sicarii, because I don't know why they wear it, but like I said, it's neither here nor there. It's neither going to give you salvation or not give you salvation, but I don't... now I know why they wear it, because he thinks it represents the pomegranate. But from what I can see in the Bible, there's nothing in the Bible that shows me that the pomegranate became the symbol of a star which they wear today. For that which is highly esteemed amongst men is an abomination in the sight of the Most High. So, for me, that's just another symbol that's an abomination in the eyes of the Most High. But like I said, in terms of salvation, it probably doesn't play a major part here or there, because they're not worshiping it. They're not sitting down and bowing down to the star, they're not worshiping it, but they're wearing it, and they're trying to justify they're wearing it by trying to associate with the pomegranate that hangs on the bottom of the priestly garments, which I think is very disingenuous for Deacon Sicarii to try and do that, basically. So that's really where I wanted to just get that out. So anyway, I'm going to call it a day there. Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I had to block that guy because he was talking pure nonsense. But you're absolutely right. The lily sits on top of the pomegranates, and the lily has 6 or more leaves. Yeah, that's right. So you're absolutely right. So that guy was going off. I had to block him because he was going off what he was saying, that guy. So anyway, I pray you were edified by today's edification. As always, this is a response to the Hebrew Israelites explains the Star of David. It's nothing biblical, scriptural, or anything that we should be looking to represent. Sometimes, I used to have it on my sign when I was preaching on Highways and Edges, and I would forget to cover it up. But I know I used to, when I first came into the truth, I had it on a garment of mine, and then I found out it's not biblical or scriptural. So I got rid of that garment and had a new garment made. So, and that's how I see it. If it's not in the Bible, it's not in the scriptures, if it's not biblical, if we can't prove that in the scriptures to show that it's something that we were doing as a righteous thing as a people, then I would not try to take it on. I would leave it, and we'll find that in the latter days. Right? So that's my 2 cents on that. I mean, any of the other brothers can review that video, that part of that video there, and put their 2 cents in when they're ready. So as always, I want to give all the praises and the glory to Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Ba'asham, Rakakadash, and double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, our teachers, our leaders, and shalom to my fellow Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters out there that have been edified by the truth of the scriptures of who we are, the true children of Israel, and who the other nations are. As I always like to say, keep praying, keep safe, and hold on to this truth, family. But this is all we got. Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises.